When it comes to the legislative branch of government, the people here in Decatur County and Greensburg are going to join other Indiana residents in picking a new junior senator for the Hoosier State. That's because longtime incumbent Republican Richard Lugar was defeated in the primary election by Richard Murdoch, the state treasurer. Murdoch is being challenged for the seat this fall by Democrat Joe Donnelly. Donnelly is currently serving his third term as Indiana's 2nd District U.S. Representative. He has been a small business owner for more than 20 years, served on the Indiana Elections Board and also the Marion High School Board.
In my business, I have to balance the budget. I don't see how the government can keep spending money they don't bring in. So, would you support a balanced budget amendment?
Thank you very much for the question. I already have supported a balanced budget amendment and voted for a balanced budget amendment, and done so with my friends from the Republican side of the aisle. Representative Bob Goodlatte of Virginia. I worked with Representative Goodlatte and worked very, very hard to get other members to also come on board and vote for the balanced budget amendment. I think it's critical. I think it's absolutely important. As you said, you don't have the opportunity in your business to be able to not have a balanced budget. We shouldn't have the opportunity either. And so I support the balanced budget amendment and a strong advocate of it and a vocal advocate of it as well.
44 states, including Indiana, have now applied for a waiver to opt out of the federal provisions of the No Child Left Behind law. What ideas do you have on the need to reauthorize this federal education law?
Well, thank you very much for the question. I think that if Indiana wants to opt out, we should have the right to do so, and we should do so. The problem with No Child Left Behind is it does not always do proper testing of the change in schools or of the change in classes, and so instead of being reflective of what's actually going on in a school, it's just simply reflective of a test. And so I very, very much support, as we are able to monitor schools and to test how well schools are doing, that we have what's called the growth model to see if students coming in at the beginning of the year, have they continued to grow, have their scores continued to improve at the end of the year. I think that's a better way than the No Child Left Behind model.
Here's what I'd like to know. What experience have you had in the private sector, specifically in leadership or management roles, and how does that translate into your philosophy surrounding government creating jobs?
Well, thank you for the question, Cynthia. I actually spent almost all my entire life in the private sector. I helped run a small business for over 20 years, and that's where my life has been spent. My time as a representative in Congress has been a short period, and I had only been to Washington actually about 4 or 5 times before I was elected to the United States Congress. My life experience, my core values come from small business and from entrepreneurs who employ people and who make our economy grow.
As a freshman senator, what are you going to do to resolve the gridlock in Washington and get to the business at hand, such as creating jobs and improving the economy of the United States?
Well, thank you, Bill. That is one of the key questions of this whole election. And one of the key differences between myself and Mr. Murdoch is I have said time after time after time, I will walk from the Ohio River to Lake Michigan if it creates more jobs and gives us a chance to work together. And Mr. Murdoch said that he thinks the problem with Washington is too many people working together. I couldn't disagree with him more. I think the problem with Washington is the gridlock, that you have folks on the left and folks on the right, the far right, and all they do is fight, and nothing gets done for Hoosier families. I've worked together with my colleagues time after time where I voted for a balanced budget amendment with my Republican friends. I work with my Republican friends to extend the Bush tax cuts. And so together on issues like this and on the issues we face moving forward, such as reducing the federal budget deficit, we need to do it as a team, not as Democrats, and not as Republicans, but as Americans. That's what we should be doing.
It seems to me the way the tax codes are written hampers business growth. I'm specifically talking about the time it takes to write off construction costs. What changes would you support to remove this barrier so that businesses can expand and add jobs?
Well, thank you very much. I have, for a long, long time, supported what's called advanced expensing, so that on things like construction costs, you can write them off earlier, and that enables you to have more cash in your pocket and more cash to be able to run your business. In addition, It also encourages investment for construction, for machinery, for other things. And so I'm right on your page. The presence of an advanced expensing tax system for small business is critical to making small business grow and our entrepreneurs to flourish.
As the owner of a small manufacturing business that's been providing health insurance to our employees for decades, Obamacare has already saved us thousands and thousands of dollars. There are those in Washington who intend to derail it. What do you think about that? What's your stand on the subject? And what would you do if you went to Washington?
Well, Pam, thank you for making such beautiful instruments and for creating such beautiful music all over the world. In regards to Obamacare or the health care bill, what I have said all along is that what we need to do is to continue to build on the successes we've had, such as being able to allow folks with pre-existing conditions like cancer or diabetes or arthritis to continue to get coverage, for seniors to be able to get prescriptions at 50% off, and for young people ages 21 to 26, that they can stay on their parents' coverage until the age of 26 while they start to get themselves established. These are all good things. And what we can continue to do also is to fix the health care bill in areas like the medical device tax that's on there. I'm a lead co-sponsor of a bill to repeal that and to also still continue to pay for it with another pay for, so that what we can do is not only have great health care, but see Indiana businesses grow as well.
What can be done at the federal level to help high school seniors like myself afford a college education?
Well, Jacob, during the time I've been in Congress, this has been one of my passions. And Indiana works best when Indiana is educated well. And so I have consistently voted to increase Pell Grants so that middle-class families, families with a little bit less income than that, are able to see their children go to great educational institutions, great colleges, great vocational institutions. Those Pell Grants need to be put in place. And then on top of that, I have also been a great supporter of reducing the student loan rates from 6.8% to 3.4%. In effect, Jason, we're cutting your interest rate in half. And so when you do come out of school, the interest rate will only be half of what it might have been in terms of if you pay back student loans. So my goal is to get everybody as educated as well as possible, and when you do, there'll be a really, really good job waiting for you, and success will be in your hands.
HUD is pushing to put a stay limit of 20 days on residents in homeless shelters. This requires that the homeless would leave the shelter and move into taxpayer-supported housing before the shelter can really help them make any changes. What would you do to help shelters accomplish their goal of returning the homeless back into their communities as productive citizens?
Well, I have repeatedly visited a number of shelters and talked to the people who help manage the shelters and help to bring quality lives to those who live there. And so what I think makes the most sense is, instead of listening to Washington bureaucrats telling us what to do, it would make a lot more sense to listen to you, to help us chart a course as to the best way to handle this.
Medicare Part D has made prescription drugs more affordable for seniors, but those with high drug expenses will exceed coverage limits and fall into what is known as the donut hole. Some seniors may be forced to choose between the expenses of daily living and their prescription medications. The Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act, otherwise known as Obamacare, is gradually closing this gap in coverage and promises to fully close the donut hole by 2020. If Obamacare is repealed, how do you propose to protect these seniors who would again fall in the donut hole and cannot afford their prescription medications?
Well, thank you. I would not vote to repeal the health care bill. If there are areas that people don't like, we can work to fix it. But this is a perfect example of some of the important things that have been done so that health care is more affordable, health care is more available, and that for seniors we don't put a financial burden on them that they cannot pay, and that they just don't have the funds to cover. So I will work to fix the health care bill, and I don't think it makes any sense when a program in regards to Medicare Part D is working well, why we would want to take that away.
What are the main legislative objectives you would like to focus on in the future?
Oh, the first and foremost is always the creation of more jobs. I've often said that the best social program for a family is a job for mom or dad. And so the more job opportunities we have, the better off. That's why I've worked so hard to create more jobs through helping our entrepreneurs who actually create the jobs. We're in the background trying to put the programs in place to enable our small businesses and entrepreneurs to help our economy take off with good education, with tax credits for small business, with the ability to have an all-in American energy policy, paying down our debt and deficit. These are all critical ways that would create more jobs, more opportunity, and I've often said, I won't be happy until every Hoosier who wants a job has a job.
As of now, the National Farm Bill has not been passed. This makes it very hard on Indiana family farms to budget their money for the following year. If elected, what will you do to get these bills passed?
Well, I've already been fighting for the Farm Bill. I've given floor speeches on the Farm Bill, and I think it's outrageous that other members of Congress have not seen the urgency and importance of getting this done. I have repeatedly said, I will go back to Washington tomorrow if we can get a chance to vote on the Farm Bill. This is a moral obligation we have to our agricultural community, to our farmers all over the country. I have stood with you when I served on the Agriculture Committee. I stand with our farmers day in and day out. We need to pass a Farm Bill now. Thank you very much for the chance to talk to you today. I've worked nonstop to create more jobs and more opportunity in our beloved state of Indiana. And that's what we need to continue to do, is a chance for every Hoosier who wants a job to have a job. And you want a United States Senator who goes to Washington and understands that what we need to do is work together to make our country stronger, not fight with others to tear it apart. So you can count on me for job creation, count on me to make our country stronger, and to work together so we can leave to our children and grandchildren an even greater America than the one we were blessed to inherit from our parents. God bless you, God bless Indiana, and God bless America.
Early voting has already begun in Indiana, and if you have questions about how to participate in that, just contact your county clerk's office. Tom McKee, 9 News in Greensburg.